Happy Friday morning to you, everybody. This is the Memorial Day weekend coming up. Hope you have plans for your cookouts, and let's not forget the reason why you're able to have these cookouts. I myself will be working, but you know, some people still have to work, and I really don't mind. But that's not why I did this video. I guess you all know that the court case of George Zimmerman will be coming up soon. As a matter of fact, it is coming up June the 10th. Not sure if it's going to be televised or not. I believe that is up to the judge, and I don't believe that they have said yet whether or not they will be allowing cameras in the courtroom. If you've heard something that I haven't, let me know. But I know I've seen it advertised. You know, we've had the Jodi Arias case going on, and I've watched that, and a lot of people are mistaken about that because they think that just because the jury couldn't decide between the life and the death penalty for her, that the judge did declare it a hung jury. They're thinking that the trial is going to resume and go all over again. That's not going to happen. She is guilty. She was found guilty. That will still hold. All this next jury is going to come in and do is decide the penalty phase. They will be the ones to decide life or death, not whether or not she's guilty. But as far as George Zimmerman's case goes, I was just reading online here that his attorneys have asked for a 6-week delay on the trial. They've had all this time to prepare. What are you waiting on? You know, why do you need 6 more weeks? It's been advertising on television too about his trial coming up, and it keeps showing George Zimmerman's pictures. So I'm thinking they probably will televise it. I mean, first you had, you know, of course you had everything going on with O.J. Simpson twice, and then you had the Casey Anthony that was televised, Jodi Arias, and now almost back to back with Jodi Arias comes George Zimmerman. I wonder how difficult it's going to be to find a jury to sit on that case. I wonder how many people is not going to know about the case or not be prejudiced against the case. And if it comes down to where George Zimmerman is guilty, you know, a lot of people is going to be upset. If it comes down to George Zimmerman is innocent, a lot of people is going to be upset. You know, so yeah, you can't please everybody. But I do feel like if he is found innocent, there's going to be a riot. I do feel that way. Not sure why I feel that way. I just do it. Probably more or less because of the fact that he's a grown man and Travon Martin was basically a boy. They are going to say, and I did hear this on the news, they said that the defense is, no, the prosecution is, was it the defense or the prosecution? The defense is going to say that Travon Martin had marijuana in his bloodstream at the time of his death. That's what the defense is going to say. They're going to say that he was high on marijuana at the time that he was killed. Then they said the prosecution is going to turn around and say, I think I got these mixed up. One of them is going to say that he had marijuana in the system, and the other one's going to turn around and say, well, why was George Zimmerman not tested? Oh, the defense is going to say, well, why was George Zimmerman not tested? One of them's going to say, why wasn't he tested? I'm getting this all confused, so don't cuss me out too bad. I mean, you're going to cuss me out anyway, because most of you do. Well, not most of you, but some of you do. So one of the teams are going to say, well, he had marijuana in his system. The other one's going to say, well, why was George Zimmerman not tested? They're going to say, well, you don't know what George Zimmerman had in his system because he was not tested. That's what they're going to say. And if you remember at first, I feel like if people hadn't got so pissed off and pushed it, that they would have never arrested George Zimmerman. They wouldn't have done it. They would just took his word for everything that happened and let it go. But because of the fact that people were highly upset that they hadn't brought any charges against him, that's the only reason that they did bring charges against him at the time. And, you know, I did a video about this before, and I got a lot of good views on it, but I got some people on there that just downright cussed me out. Everybody has their own views about everything. I'm just stating my views about everything. I may be wrong. I wasn't there. But then again, neither were you. You know, so why are you telling me I'm wrong? I'm just giving a view. I'm not saying this is the way it happened. You know, I'm not saying that I wasn't there. But I feel like when he was told not to get out of his vehicle, he shouldn't have got out of that vehicle. I feel like the question that they're saying, why would you get out of your vehicle and approach him when you were told not to? Why do it? That's the bottom line. Why do it? Why did you do that? So, maybe they'll answer that in court. Maybe they'll beat around the bush. But I'm not sure if they're going to get to 6-week delay. And there's also something on here that said that they're asking a judge to deny prosecutors' request that the teen's marijuana use be off limits. So the prosecutors that's trying to send George Zimmerman to prison does not want the court to know that Travon Martin had marijuana in his system. Well, why not? I mean, you know, whether you think Zimmerman is guilty or innocent, let's put all the cards on the table, all of them. Why are you leaving anything out? If there's a case of true innocence or true guilt, you don't have to worry about what you bring to the table. Because if you're guilty, you're going to be found guilty. If you're not, then you're going to be found innocent. And I saw him, George Zimmerman, as he was entering the courtroom the other day, and he's gained weight, so they must be feeding him well. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting case, indeed. So we'll see how that goes. I know when I did my last video, like I was saying earlier, when I did my last video, I got a lot of good reports on it, and then the people that didn't agree with what I had to say called me, you know, if I had said that I believe Travon Martin bought this on himself, excuse me, which I would never say that, because nobody brings death upon themselves. Nobody. The only people that brings death upon themselves is somebody that holds a gun to their head and pulls the trigger. But nobody wants to die. Nobody brings it on themselves. But when you are 17 years old, you don't think about stuff like that. You know, you just don't. I've been 17. You don't think like more mature people think. You don't think that, you know, that you're going to die. You're too quick to want to jump in somebody's face, so to speak, without thinking of consequences. I can remember back when I was 17, and death never entered my mind. That just, you know, that happened to other people. And even as far as being in my 30s or so, which is quite a bit younger than what I am now, some things I did in my 30s, I can't see me doing now. I'm like, how did I ever do that? You know, what was I thinking? You know. So I believe that our minds and our way of thinking continue to mature as we go along. So what Travon Martin was thinking, I don't know. But what George Zimmerman was thinking also by getting out of that vehicle, I don't know. They're wanting to bring up the fact that that Travon Martin was in a lot of trouble at school all the time, that he backtalked the teachers, that he had a lot of negative texts about fighting and stuff, and that he was trying to sell a gun to somebody or something. You know, well, and if you can bring all that up, then you got to dig a little bit into Zimmerman's past. You got to bring up the fact that there was no neighborhood watch. He appointed himself as the neighborhood watch captain of what neighborhood watch, and said that he had seen and I believe they were talking about Travon, that he had seen a black male in the neighborhood up to, I think, a week or so before this happened, and had emailed or texted people that lived in the neighborhood and told them to beware of the suspicious black male in the neighborhood. You know. So, all that will come out at court, and we'll see, you know, what happens to that. Because if somebody's going to tell that part of the story, they might be leaving something out, and vice versa when they're saying something about Travon. So, we'll just leave it up to the judge and to the jury. When they found, when they could not come to a decision on Jodi Arias yesterday, of course they announced it on Twitter and in the news feeds and stuff. And some people were like, wow. They said, did the Casey Anthony jury move from Florida to Arizona? Insinuating that juries are stupid. Juries have a job to do. All right, Mr. Furley. They don't go in there thinking, they don't just sit there and say, yeah, I believe you did it. Okay, yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, let's do this. Whether they think they're guilty or not, they have to weigh the evidence and say, is there proof? I believe they did it, but where's the proof? That's what has to be done. And they are instructed by a judge that that's what they have to do. And if they, because they all knew Casey Anthony was guilty, they all knew she was. But the only thing that was proven in that court of law was that Casey Anthony was dead. They couldn't prove how she died. They couldn't prove who did it. And without that proof, you cannot convict. So, all they could prove was that she died and that somebody tried to hide her body. So, but we won't get into that one again. Mr. Furley is hearing the garbage man outside, and he just does not like that garbage truck. Mr. Furl, what's the matter, baby? What's the matter? What's the matter with Mommy's baby? Anyway, so tell me what you think about the George Zimmerman trial. Will you be watching? And until next time, bye-bye.